Hello, good evening and welcome to our Collaborate for Success event here at the National Galleries of Scotland. My name's Lindsay Smith, I'm one of the directors of Creative Edinburgh, along with Janine Matheson, who's also director. We run an organisation which is a membership organisation based in the City of Edinburgh, which is the aim of uniting, inspiring and promoting the creative talent that's in our city at the moment. So it is a membership organisation, and you can have a look at the website. It's www.creative-edinburgh.com and sign up as a member or a free member there. So just to introduce our lovely panel this evening, right at the very end, we've got Tom Dutch from the Too Much Fun Club, Carol Sinclair from Cultural Enterprise Office, Janine Matheson from Creative Edinburgh, my other half there, Stuart MacDonald from Creative Frontline, a bit of a creative pioneer of Scotland at the moment, Leigh Davidson from Anderson Strathern, Andy Payne from AppyNation, and Alastair McNaughton from Co-operative Development Scotland.
Because I'm the chair, I thought I would stick in my tuppence worth about collaboration, and just want to say 4 things about collaboration before we get into the evening session proper, if you like. Everyone's talking about collaboration. Creative Scotland, who we all know and love, in their corporate plan, they talk about partnership and collaboration all over the place, and even talk about promoting extreme collaboration, crossing boundaries, in other words. Sounds effortless when you say it like that, but is it really? Then NESTA, the National Endowment for Science, Technology and the Arts, to give it its full title, and you're going to hear a bit more about NESTA this evening. NESTA thinks that collaboration equals innovation. In other words, successful innovation is fundamentally collaborative, and different perspectives make problem solving easier, and good ideas are easy, but productive relationships are much, much harder. There's even a book just come out about collaboration called Together by Richard Sennett, the academic. You may know him from his book, The Craftsman, in which he famously said it took 10,000 hours to become skilled at something. And Sennett reckons that while collaboration is natural to us, is difficult and requires practice. Whether it takes 10,000 hours or not, I don't really know. We'll find out this evening, maybe. So what's this got to do with collaboration in the creative industries? People talk about the creative economy, the cultural economy, and even the creative or cultural ecology. But what I'm really interested in is the project economy. If you see how different people and different skills come together at different times to take on different briefs and tasks, then being interdisciplinary is absolutely essential, and that means collaboration. And if you work in any kind of project environment, then you have to rely on others in the team to deliver the result. You have to collaborate, and having the skills to do so is crucial to success. Particularly those kind of informal people skills that might not appear in the job description, but which are so necessary to help us build our reputations.
Basically, Cultural Enterprise Office is Scotland's specialist business support organisation, and we're there really to offer support for people working in any form of creative practice at any stage, and you can kind of dip in and out as and when you need some help. And the kind of key areas of support that we offer: events. We run events in partnership like this. We have a whole series of other events. I'm not going to go into this in any depth. You can go and research it later. We've got a lot of information online, and we have an information sort of team, an inquiry line, so there's support there. And we have advice, and I am the Edinburgh advisor, the regular kind of advisor based here in Edinburgh, and it's through that route that I met Tom. So Tom, can you tell us a bit about the Too Much Fun Club? It's such a great name. Yeah. What do you do?
We're a live art collective. We do murals and live, larger scale illustrations in nightclubs, at festivals, music events, and sometimes more commercial events. But yeah, basically we do big murals at festivals. So that's part of the name comes from that.
And the benefits of collaborating? I mean, you're probably preaching to the converted here, but
I'm sure you can all imagine that the ideas flow so much faster. You can overcome problems so much easier. You basically, like, you know, 10 heads are better than one kind of thing. But yeah.
And because I know that was the point we started speaking, because, you know, there was people were wanting to pay you, I think you said, much to your surprise. So there was a need to actually start to formalise this.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
so can you talk us through sort of the structure and the shape and what you've come to?
We just we carried on in the way that I explained, and after a while, when we decided that we would take it a step further and become a company, if you like, or started working towards being a company, we needed to get a lot of advice on like what kind of entity we would be and how we would identify ourselves as a business like kind of model. And the kind of conclusion we came to with the help of CDS and Cultural and Enterprise was that we become a consortium cooperative, which is a company limited by guarantee, and basically just acts like an umbrella network for a group of sole traders.
And I think, you know, a lot of people do collaborate, but the question is really why formally structure it? Do you think there's some sort of obvious benefits in having a more formalised structure? Yeah,
totally. I mean, you could work as sole traders, collaborating with other people quite naturally without putting a name on it or giving it like a roof for everyone to be under. But the way that we kind of evolved, it was friends that started it, and more friends making new friends. It became a way of formalising something that we would be doing anyway, but like you know, kind of reinforced the potential kind of direction of it.
And do you think people take you more seriously now that you're a more recognised structure?
Definitely, yeah.
CDS Scotland's part of the Scottish Enterprise in Highlands and Islands that specialises in cooperative consortia employee ownership. So this evening I'm just going to talk about the cooperative consortia part of that. And for me, it's a no-brainer to do this. However, most people tend to fall into two camps. There are a large portion of people that working together is just not part of what they are and what they're about. And there's a small, very small number of people who are always going to do this. But in between there is a largish number of people who want to work together, because, you know, we're always brought up that team playing is much, much stronger than as an individual, and if we collaborate, we pull together, then things will happen for us. Unfortunately, however, that's not always the case. When it actually comes to actually doing it, we quite often are quite reluctant to get involved in it. And when we actually look at it, and I'm going to talk about in general terms, I'm talking about not specific cases, but in general terms, when we talk to companies, the main reasons that they don't collaborate, even although they want to do it, is usually down to two factors. First of all, it's risk. Risk in terms of financial risk and risk in terms of reputational risk. And the second aspect is that it tends to be, it's complicated to do. And when it's complicated to do, it's bureaucratic, and it's going to involve a lot of work on my part to make this work and to understand how we're going to do it. And I spend most of my time working with businesses who want to get bigger or want to sustain themselves. And the way to do that is to work together and be able to engage with larger organisations.
I'm going to talk a little bit about just kind of what is collaboration. And I kind of looked it up, and that's what it said. A deep collective determination just to reach a shared goal. It feels like the right thing to me. So I'm not a natural collaborator. I've always been quite confident in my own ability. But you can't do everything. And I've got so many things wrong that obviously I've been wrong for most of my life. But I'm really convinced. Stuart said something at the beginning that, what was the name of the guy who wrote the book? 10,000 hours?
Senate.
So there's 10,000 hours. I thought, that's interesting. What's that in days? And it's actually 416 days or something, which equates to 13.62 months. And we've been running AppyNation for 14 months. And only yesterday when we had a meeting, I said, I think we're starting to get somewhere. We're going to get to release our first product. But of course, is that goal shared? And you can sort of hang out with your friends and, you know, talk about stuff. And you can say, yeah, I think we've got a shared goal. But in a business, it takes time to work out if you really have.
But I suppose I find it quite interesting, because what we've really been focusing on today is sort of consortium type arrangements for maybe longer term ventures. But of course, collaborations can take many forms, and they can be for one specific project, one small piece of work. So it doesn't necessarily need to follow the path of having a long venture involved. The type of work I do in terms of intellectual property does bring me into contact with a sort of vast variety of clients with lots of different ideas about what they're going to do. And often what I've found to be quite successful is collaborations across sectors. So rather than people in a sort of all the gaming industry working together, or you know, a bunch of artists all working together, it's where the collaboration takes place between different industry and different sectors altogether, and sometimes that can really produce very innovative and entrepreneurial projects.
I'm quite interested in the whole collaborative consumption idea, where I don't know, being linked quite heavily with Nesta as well.
Yeah.
Rachel Botsman, I want to say Rachel Botsman was part of the whole development of that theory, whereby the people take over, there's no middleman, and basically there's a service and the end goal, and there's no middleman. The middle, it's all to do with the service on the internet. Can you see that working quite? Because I can see it starting to move into charities, but can you see it trying to move into other?
Definitely. I think there's always going to be round the edges of all the great ideas, of all the scam bits, and I think we just have to accept that when you're innovating, there are cynical people, you know, carpetbaggers, snake oil salesmen. These kind of people are just out there. My feeling is that the more democratic it gets, the more engaging it gets, those people get pushed out. If you go on to, you know, the internet's quite a leveler, really.
For getting converts to collaborate for success, you come up with an idea and you want to collaborate, but the biggest hurdle I can see would be to engender trust. Yeah. And are there guidelines or help, legal or otherwise, to engender that so that benefits can be had?
That's maybe a good one for across. Alastair, trust.
It's a really good one. In fact, it's probably the most important one. Yeah. For me, the easiest thing is what we call a quick win. Is to collaborate with people in a way such that you do something together, something small together to start building the trust. So you don't necessarily, you know, go for the big win in the first instance. You just do something jointly that's to your mutual benefit, and trust starts to evolve. And I think actually working, you know, within a democracy, things tend to be more transparent. So people tend to be open. So trust tends to happen easier in that type of environment.
Leigh, trust? Is there a legal definition of trust?
I don't think so, no. But well, actually, that probably should have been one of the things or one of the questions that I added in when I was talking about the questions I tend to ask clients. Because one of the things we do always ask is, well, how well do you know your collaborator? Do you know much about them? Have you looked into them? You know, Alastair made a good point about, have you done anything with them on a smaller scale before you're entering into something big? And we have to look behind who our clients are dealing with anyway, in terms of being able to pull the contract together and working out if they, you know, they're actually a man of straw, or what sort of basis it is. So doing something smaller first and getting to know your client as much as, or your collaborator as much as possible, I mean, that does build up trust. Another thing is if you do get a bit of kind of advice up front about the things you should be looking about or discussing with a collaborator, then that can often build up trust, because you go in with an air of sort of knowledge and professionalism, saying, look, these are the things I'm worried about, these are the things I think we can do together, and you kind of look like you know what you're talking about, and that can help to build things up as well.
Tom, Carol, trust. Tom, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, just like you were saying, Leigh, we've always, whenever someone new's come to the group, we've always done a couple of little things, a couple of introductory, if you like, projects with them. We've been quite lucky in that, knowing creative people that also know other creative people, everyone that has come to us has already had a kind of trust there to begin with, which I suppose not everyone is that lucky, but yeah, it's one of those things you just, like Andy said, it's face-to-face contact that builds that. Working together, obviously collaborating over time, the trust grows. With the idea of a consulting cooperative, if that trust isn't there after a certain amount of time, people are free to leave or, you know, get pushed out.
Yeah, Yeah, I would just say my personal experience with Design Ed was that, you know, we worked together. There were 12 of us, and we worked together in a fairly ad hoc way. And then there was a point where, you know, we built up trust, we built up reliance on one another. And then we got to a point where we said, right, we need to formalise that. And I think I'm a great believer in paperwork as I get older, because it's such a great way to actually work out where the differences lie. And so we ended up sitting together and creating, you know, a partnership agreement, which I kind of think is a bit like a prenup. Do you know, if you can try and work out the potential problems before they arise, there's a much better chance that you will remain chums and the trust will grow. And I know I take that into the advice I give to clients now, and I say, you know, try putting together some kind of partnership agreement as a prenup, not necessarily because you're going to need it as a legal document. In fact, the fact you have it means you're unlikely to need it. But it's the process you go through and going, why are we doing this? And if you discover you are doing it for different reasons, and that whole, I think everybody talked about goals and shared agendas, that's so critical, because if you are going in different directions, then you can't trust one another. It's
I was just going to add in as well, possibly a softer side to the practical elements of collaboration and trust, is your gut instinct as well. Is you know, when you're working with other people, especially in a close relationship, I think it's a really important thing. Your instinct about somebody and your common goals and your ambitions together can be really important, as well as, you know, partnership agreements and having something more formal.
Audience as well. The drinks are just next door.